Hello everyone, in this video we will be talking about Azure Blob Storage. Now Azure Blob Storage is Microsoft's object storage solution for cloud. What do you mean by an object storage solution? That means it stores unstructured data. Basically, why a data is called unstructured? Because it cannot adhere to a particular data model definition. It can contain all sorts of data in it. So blob storage is designed for like serving images or documents directly to the browser, then storing files for distributed access, or streaming videos or audios, or writing log files. Azure blob storage support all these kinds of data, and we can use them for these purposes as well. And Azure Blob consists of storage account, containers, and finally blobs. Now, what is a storage account? A storage account provides a unique namespace for your blob, for your data. So it is like a unique address. So every object that we store in an Azure storage has an address that includes our unique account name. So the combination of account name and the Azure storage blob endpoint forms the base address for the objects in the storage account. For example, if your account name is my storage account or my SA, then the default endpoint for the blob storage will be http mysa.blob.core.windows.net. So if you're using this link or going to this particular address, you will get this your particular blob storage. Then comes containers. So container is a set of blobs. So it is similar to a file or a folder, like a directory. A storage account can include an unlimited number of containers, and a container can store unlimited number of blobs. So a container name must be a valid DNS name, because it forms a part of the unique URI that is used to address the container or its blobs. There are 3 rules when it comes to naming a container. So the container names should be of length between 3 to 63 characters. The container names must start with a letter or number and can contain any lowercase letters, numbers, or even a dash. So like it should start with A, B, C underscore 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then final rule is that 2 or more consecutive dash characters are not permitted in container names. Like you cannot provide a double dash. The URL of a container is similar to this. On top, but the container name will be / the container name. Then comes blobs. Blobs is the data that you store in a blob storage. There are 3 types of blobs. First one is block blobs. Then comes append block. And finally, you have page blobs. Now, blobs store text and binary data. And blobs are made up of blocks of data that can be managed individually. Blobs can store up to 190.7 TIB. Now, TIB means tebibyte. These tebibytes are around 10% larger than terabytes. Now comes append blobs. Append blobs are made up of blocks like the block blobs, but they are optimized for append operations. Append blobs are ideal for scenarios where there is a frequent input of data. For example, logging. So they are used for logging purposes for virtual machines. Then comes page blobs. Page blobs store random access files. They are up to maximum storage sizes 8 TB, terabytes. Now page blobs store virtual hard drive files, and these can serve as disks for VMs. So the URI for a blob is similar to this one. So after container name, you have your blob name. You can also store one in this particular format where you have container name and you have your your another directory, like say virtual directory, then you have your blob name. So this suggests that inside this container you have another folder or directory, and inside that you have your blob. Okay. Now let's talk about access tiers. So Azure Storage provides different options for accessing blobs data based on your usage pattern. Each access tier in Azure Storage is optimized for a particular pattern of data use. So you can select the right access tier for your needs, and you can store your blob data in the most cost-effective manner. So you have 4 types of access tiers. You have the hot tier, cool tier, cold tier, and you have your archive tier. Now, hot access tier is optimized for frequent access of objects in the storage account. They have high storage cost, but they have the least access cost. That means it is cost effective to access some data or access a blob from hot tier, but it costs you more if you store it there for longer period of time. Then comes cool tier. Cool tier has got lower storage cost than hot tier, but they have got higher access cost than a hot tier. So you will be storing here data that is not that frequently used as the data that is stored in a hot tier. But here is a catch. You cannot, once you move a data to a cool tier, you cannot move it out for a minimum of 30 days. If you move it before 30 days, you will be charged an early deletion charge. Now, the cold access tier, this is optimized for storing that data that is infrequently asked, but you have to store it for a minimum of 90 days. You have a lower storage cost than a cool tier, but you have higher access cost than a cool tier. Then comes the archive tier. Archive tier has got the lowest storage cost, but they have the highest access cost. So now archive tier is only available for individual block blobs. This particular tier has got a minimum storage period of 180 days. This is the most cost effective option for storing data. So if you move a data, you cannot access any data that is in archive tier. To access a data, you have to move it to another tier. This is called rehydrating. So only after rehydrating the data that is stored in an archive tier, you can use it again. Now there is also one more thing. If you are moving a data from a cooler tier, from a hotter tier to a cooler tier, this will be taken as a read operation from the hotter tier. Okay. Similarly, if you are moving a data from a colder tier to a hotter tier, this will be taken as a sorry, I was wrong. If you are moving a data from a hot tier to a cold tier, it will be taken as a write operation to the colder tier. This will be taken as a read operation to the from the colder tier. Okay. Now, finally, we'll go to the security features of the Azure storage. So now Azure storage uses service-side encryption or SSE for to automatically encrypt your data when it is persisted to the cloud. Azure storage encryption protects your data and it will help you to meet your organizational security and compliance commitments. Azure storage automatically encrypts your data when there is an automatic encryption that is supported. So data in Azure storage is encrypted and decrypted using 256-bit advanced encryption standard or AES. So encryption key management. Data in a new storage account is encrypted with Microsoft managed keys by default. You can continue to rely on Microsoft management keys for the encryption of your data, or you can manage encryption with your own keys. So if you choose to manage encryption with your own keys, you have two options. The first one is a customer managed key. The second one is a customer provided key. A customer managed key is used for encrypting and decrypting data in a blob storage in Azure files .customer managed keys. And this must be stored in an Azure Key Vault or Azure Key Vault managed hardware security model, that is HSM. In a customer provided key, a client can use an encryption key on a read or write request for granular control over how blob data is encrypted or decrypted. So that is all for Azure Blob Storage.